Well, tonight, a showdown in South Carolina as the 6 GOP presidential candidates face off in the final debate before the primary election. Governor Mike Huckabee placed second in the 2008 South Carolina primary and joins us now. Governor, nice to see you this morning.
Good morning. Great to be back.
So you know the South Carolina primary very well, of course, and the evangelical vote incredibly important. So let's put up this latest poll this morning. 34% right now for Trump and 15% for Cruz. Donald Trump doing very well in New Hampshire among evangelical voters. Ted Cruz, could he narrow the gap in South Carolina among evangelicals? What do you make of it?
I think it's, look, an unusual year in which evangelicals are not necessarily breaking toward their faith. They're reflecting the same kind of anger and frustration with a very rigged game that they all know is happening. And I think that's why Donald Trump is winning among every kind of demographic except the old-fashioned, hardcore establishment donor class that doesn't fund Donald Trump. And I think that's one of the reasons he's so attractive to candidates is that, or to voters rather, because he's not funded by the traditional donor class.
So his critique of Cruz goes like this. Cruz is running as an evangelical, but he's dishonest, and evangelicals will recognize that and not vote for him. Do you think that's a resonant line of attack?
We'll find out when it comes up for the vote. But I think tonight what you're going to see is the long knives come out. Look, South Carolina, the one thing I can tell you from having played on that field, if you can't stand the sight of your own blood, just don't go to South Carolina, because it is mask all in Southern gentility, but the politics of South Carolina, it's rough and tumble. It's I mean, it's old school, bare knuckles, brutal kind of politics.
Yeah.
And if you've been in it a long time, it's kind of interesting, but it is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, it is old school, but they definitely pay attention to the policies that the different candidates have to talk about. Back in 2008, you won the evangelical vote compared to McCain. I think it was like 45 to 21%. Will that be the difference, or will it be independents? Will it be women? What do the candidates need to concentrate on in terms of the demographics in South Carolina?
Well, I think as long as you don't do something that overtly offends the evangelicals, you still have an opportunity to get their vote, because they're not breaking, again, toward their faith vote. If you saw, and I know you did because you played it several times this morning and it was very powerful, that scene in Indianapolis at the Carrier air conditioning plant, the reaction, the visceral reaction of those workers, that is America right now. That's not just the Carrier employees in Indianapolis. That's America.
So what's the answer to that?
People are fed up with policies.
Well, they sure are.
Well, I think the answer to that is...
How do you respond to that? What does Republicans say? You looked at video. What's the Republican response?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing, you quit pandering to the special, small donor class of Washington and Wall Street. I've been railing against this for years and getting my head handed to me over it. But look, what Donald Trump has done is tap into that fact that these trade deals that we've entered into have not gone well because we didn't enforce both sides of them.
Right.
And you get labeled an anti-trader. But look, it's not about being anti-trade. It's about being pro-globalization versus Americanization. People are sick of corporatists and globalists. They want somebody who will stand up for America.
Governor
and
Huckabee,
that's what we're seeing in this election.
You haven't thrown your support behind anyone yet. Does that mean that you're going to support Donald Trump?
You want to make an announcement right here on Fox
I'm not
Friends?
endorsing anybody. Look, I'm endorsing the basic principles that I think are important to the country. And I don't think my endorsement does a whole lot to matter to one candidate or another. But what I will stand up for and continue to endorse is that we start acting in the best interest of America's working class, for the people who are standing on those concrete floors, coming home bone-tired every day, who are walking into an employee meeting and hearing announcements like they did in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that we've got to have candidates who not only speak policies to them, but for gosh sake, understands what those folks are feeling out there. And I don't think a lot of the candidates have fully connected to them.
Governor, just like 10 seconds, the winnowing of the field after each of these primaries. Who's on watch tonight? Who are you most interested to see if they can have a stellar debate tonight to kind of hang on and move into Nevada and other places?
You know, it seems like that Bush and Rubio may be going after Trump, and Cruz is obviously doing that. But the real fight is going to be among the three of Cruz, well, and let me add Kasich in there, Cruz, Kasich, Bush, and Rubio. one of them is going to emerge as the option to Donald Trump if there's going to be one. And that's where their focus, if I were advising them, needs to be turned to each other, because at some point only one of them will probably emerge as that alternative, if, as I say, if there's going to be one.
Governor Mike Huckabee joining us live. Great to see you, Governor.
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.